What's up, everyone? So I want to do a follow-up YouTube series or follow-up YouTube video from the podcast I just did on condensing timeframes. This is a super important topic, something that for me, when I started reframing how I planned my days and giving myself blocked out times, which I'm going to get into here in a second, this allowed me to condense those timeframes on high priority activities so that I could move through each day much more efficiently and effectively on producing the results that I want, as well as serving our team. One of the toughest parts about running a company, especially with employees underneath you or people that you're working with, you have to be able to provide them the energy and effort that they need to grow and develop and be able to achieve the tasks that they need to achieve. But on top of it, you as the entrepreneur have to push the company forward. So one of the things that I hear so many entrepreneurs say is that I'm a firefighter, and that is a relevant topic to a certain extent, but how you approach each of those fires and how you allow that fire to actually impact your day-to-day is very critical, to being able to achieve high-level results. And one of the biggest mistakes that people do is they allow whatever fire it is to become the highest priority activity in the moment. And it's a very emotional state of mind to be in when those fires come up. And so I'm going to tell you about how I approach those fires and how I prioritize those fires to, one, put them out, but two, still be able to achieve the results that I need to achieve as the CEO, as the entrepreneur of the business. Because if we're constantly serving our organization, then who is actually achieving the goals for the company? Unless your role is specifically just as a leader, implementer, and not the visionary and the person pushing the company forward, then you need to be able to not only push the company forward, but also serve the organization. And depending on how you structure your organization, you may or may not have an implementer or somebody that can actually help push those projects through and complete them. But regardless of where you're at, whether you have an implementer or you're a visionary, it doesn't really matter either which way. As an entrepreneur, you're going to have those things come up throughout the day. So how do you approach those? How do you structure your day? And how do you achieve those high-level results? So let's get into it. So let's talk about your day. So I love blocking my day out into 2-hour windows. And the reason that I do this is because I'm able to achieve a significant amount of activities in a short period of time when I block my days. So what I do is I love the 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. time. That's my time. And what I do in that period of the day is I prep for the day. I do my workouts, I do my cold showers, I do my meditation, my journaling, those types of things. As well, in this period, I drive to work. So what I do is I try to get into work by 7:15 to 7:30 every day, because I leave myself that last 30 minutes to plan my day out. Even though my day is already planned, I reaffirm what's going on. So I reevaluate my day. I look at everything that I got to do. For me personally, one thing that I've really realized that I find very beneficial to myself is to, even though I've got it inside of our project manager to be able to see what my day looks like, I like to rewrite those things down, because unfortunately in our project manager, it prioritizes the tasks by the due date. So all these tasks are due today, but what are my top priorities? And so some of them are lower priority, some of them are high priority. And so I like to focus on rewriting down my day and actually prioritizing it. Something about the act of writing confirms it and just locks it into my brain. And so for me, I spend that last 30 minutes of that 6 to 8 o'clock time block of getting locked in for the day, really aligning the vision with what I have to do for the particular day. So that's 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. And that time is really about priming the day and getting ready for that day. Now, 8 to 10 o'clock is my window of execution time. Right now, it's 10:09. We're shooting this content because I just got done with my 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. block. And in this 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., I actually get more done in this 2-hour period than most people will get done in an 8 or 10-hour period, because this is a very focused period of my day. And this is where my highest income producing or highest impact activities are going to come in, is that 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. time frame. Now, there are some days, because I have a lot or very time-consuming, high-priority activities, that I'll give myself 8 to 12 p.m. So I'll give myself a 4-hour window. But these are very focused periods of time. And this is where setting boundaries for yourself. So often when we think about boundaries, we want to set boundaries on everybody else. Don't bother me between this time and this time. But the problem is that when issues come up throughout the day, those time frames that you have locked in for your focus time, because maybe for you it could be 12 to 2 is your focus time, and that's fine. But in that period, you have to be 100% focused. Oops. Sorry, dropping my pen. You have to be 100% focused, because if somebody comes up to me, for example, Brian behind the camera here comes up and goes, hey Billy, I got a problem. How I approach that will determine whether or not I remain focused in that period, because Brian could come up to me with that problem, and in the moment, for Brian, it may be the most important thing. But the reality is can Brian wait 2 hours? Is the world burning? Are we going to lose a client in that 2-hour period? You have to evaluate how big is this problem that Brian is dealing with. Because for Brian, it may be the biggest problem he is dealing with in the day. But for you, it may be a very low problem. So you have to still prioritize problems into your day, not prioritizing based upon how important it is to the person dealing with the problem, right? And so it goes, hey, can you give me 30 minutes? Can you give me an hour? Let's sit down, let's review it, and I can help you work through it. And that way, it takes 2 seconds to say, hey, I hear you, but give me an hour, give me 2 hours. I've got to complete this, this, and this. Once I'm done with this, we can sit down. And when you can set those types of boundaries, one, your team starts to know, hey, this is the time frame when Billy is locked in. And I also sometimes will let people know, hey, I'm going to step into the other room. I'm going to go into my office. Or, hey guys, give me 2 hours. I've got to lock in right now, complete these projects, and then anything you guys need, I'll be available at this time. And so when you can set these boundaries on yourself, it's more important for yourself than it is for everybody else, because more often than not, most people won't bother you, but you will allow little things to pop up, a text message, a DM, an email, those types of things. And so for that period of time, my phone gets turned around. I don't deal with any phone calls. I don't deal with any text messages. I will get back to them in 2 hours, because more than likely in that 2-hour period, there is nothing that is going to come up that is going to be that important that I need to take the focus off of these high priority activities that I've already determined must get done today. So when I can have these locked in time frames, this will allow me to be able to move through much quicker. The other part about time frames that's really important, when you can give yourself these 2-hour blocks or 4-hour blocks of time, and everybody's about finding what works for you. So take the time to test this out. Maybe it's a 1-hour block, maybe it's a 2-hour, maybe it's a 3-hour block. Finding out what time frames that you need to block out for these high priority activities will allow you to be able to move through much quicker. So when I look at my 8 to 10, this is my paperwork time. This is like when I'm doing more of like digital paperwork, really high priority activities that have to do with the computer. My 10 to 12 o'clock range, typically when I have to condense that down, it'll either be 10 to 12 or 12 to 2 will be my follow-up time, because I'm still very involved in our sales process. So that's the time that I'm following up with prospects. But I give myself a 2-hour window to be able to go heavy into following up with prospects. That way I have this 2-hour window that I can really chunk through and get through all these prospects. So often we're just giving ourselves 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And what ends up happening is because we're giving ourselves such a little bit of time that we're really not that effective in actually following up, looking at our numbers, being able to do some data analysis on how our sales process is going, how many leads are we getting in, do we need to increase our leads, is the quality of our leads good? So when we're able to give ourselves this block of time, it's not just about following up with our prospects, but it's also about being able to evaluate how good are the prospects that we're getting in. Do we need to adjust our marketing strategy so we can attract a different style or a different type of prospect so that we can close more prospects? And so when I give myself this time block of time, I'm not just doing follow-up, but I'm also doing data analysis to be able to improve our process and be able to grow the inbound amount of leads and the quality of those leads that we're producing. So when we're able to break our days down in these time frames, we're able to give ourselves these blocks of focused time. So one of the things that is really important outside of just prepping for the week is being able to break your tasks down into time frames. That way you are giving yourself these blocks of time, and in that block of time I'm doing X, Y, and Z. And that way you have yourself in this condensed time frame where you have to complete these activities, because when we give ourselves the whole day, we tend to find ways to be busy with other low priority activities, but are emotionally charged activities. So meaning people are bringing things to you, calls are coming in, DMs are coming in, emails are coming in. These are all important things that you do need to get done. But if you give yourself all day to respond to emails, or all day to respond to text messages, all day to respond to DMs, then you find yourself continuously checking. So I only check my email, text messages, and DMs at certain periods of the day. so that way I'm not distracted by these heavily distracting activities like emails, DMs, and those types of things. So when you're able to give yourself these time frames of when you check your email, when you check your DMs, when you check your text messages, this prevents you from getting those distractions popping up and allows you to remain focused. More often than not, when people are planning their week, if at best they are planning their week by what I need to do each day, but they are not blocking out the times that they get these things done. Now, for me, I used to not like blocking out like, oh, I'm going to get this done at 8:45, this done at 9:15. Because what I found was that I wasn't really giving myself either enough time or like focused periods of time. And so what I found by loading my day up with all these little 15-minute, 20-minute, 30-minute, hour-long things is that I really didn't have a focused period of time. And so what would happen is that when somebody would bring a problem to me, that problem now became priority. And I didn't give myself time frames where I could deal with problems that come up. So when I give myself the 10 to 12 to deal with our team or issues that are coming up or clients or different things along those lines, that gives me a 2-hour window to deal with the problems. Then I get to go back into my focus period. Then I can get back to dealing with the problems at 2 to 4 o'clock. So when you give yourself time to focus on what you need to do to move the needle forward for the company, but also giving yourself time to deal with those issues, you're blocking off time to deal with those fires that are potentially going to come up. And this will mitigate the emotion from coming up when somebody like Brian brings me a problem. I'm no longer concerned because I say, don't worry, we can deal with that at 10 o'clock. And now I have a dedicated time to deal with that problem. No matter how big that problem is, I have a 2-hour period of time from 10 to 12 to deal with those types of issues when they come up. So this allows me to have that time to deal with those fires, but also be able to do what I need to do, because as the entrepreneur, as the CEO of your company, it is your responsibility, your commitment to your organization to deliver a certain level of results so your company continue to grow and provide opportunities for your organization. So if you don't focus on these time blocks where you can really move the needle forward, then you're going to constantly be serving your team, but then your team will not be getting served by with the role that you need to play, which is driving the business forward, growing the business, dealing with those high activity or high impact activities that only you as an entrepreneur can deal with. So when we are able to block these time frames down, now we're able to give ourselves these times where we can really hit our power list and hit those 5 things. So if I say, 8 to 10 is going to be, 1 through 3 on my power list, then 12 to 2 is going to be 4 and 5 on my power list, my 5 highest impact activities, the things that are going to truly move the business forward. This gives me 2-hour blocks to deal with all 5 of those activities, and it allows me 6 extra hours to deal with extra time that I need on those activities or problems that come up, extra time dealing with our clients, extra time doing those extra things that need to happen. But what ends up happening is when we give ourselves this whole time frame, top to bottom, we end up getting less done because distractions continuously come up throughout that period of time. But when you give yourself these focused time blocks, this prevents distraction. If you set those boundaries on yourself, it's about us setting boundaries, not other people having boundaries. It's about us setting the boundaries, because we can easily get distracted by phone, calls, problems, all those types of things. So when we give ourselves these time blocks, this will allow us to quickly move through projects much faster and be able to achieve the result we want much quicker. And this is one of the biggest things that I've seen and learned from the highest level income producers that I know. And this is what I've really put the time and effort into developing for myself. If you know me, if you follow my content, planning is a huge part of my life, is a huge part of what has allowed me to have the success that I've been able to have. But doing this has allowed me to speed up that process, grow my results so much faster, because I'm very focused and I have these blocks of time to be able to move the needle forward. I still have the blocks of time for me to be able to shoot the content that I need. And this allows me to get everything I need to get done throughout the day and still deal with those problems, those fires that come up throughout our day as entrepreneurs. So if you want to increase the speed to which you are creating results, look at building out time, condensed time frames, condensed time blocks, so that you can really move through and be able to get these projects done done in not a week's time, but a day's time, or even in a 2-hour time frame. And this will allow you to move much quicker to creating the results you want. And like I said, this is one of the biggest things that I've learned through networking and through growing my network with high income producers, high level achievers. And I've learned that this is one of the biggest things that they focus on, is being able to have these locked in focus times that will prevent them from being distracted. And that's why when you see some of these extremely successful people on social media, they seem like they have so much time to produce content and so much free time to enjoy life. And it's because of how they're approaching their days and how they're locking in these focused time periods where they're able to get a ton done in a very short period of time. Another reference point could be Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week. And he talks a lot about this. And it's really about giving yourself this focused period of time to be able to do what you need to do to be able to move the needle forward. And why most people do not achieve these results is they allow their emotions throughout the day to come up and distract them from their to-do list. And that's why I do not believe in having just solely a to-do list, but being able to use your to-do list to be able to then lock in time blocks for you to complete all those to-dos. And this will allow you to move much, much quicker and be able to get the results that you want. And more importantly, this will allow you to be able to test and see what is working in your personal planning or productivity schedule to be able to achieve the results you want. So let me know what you guys think of this. I hope that you guys are liking these YouTube videos that we're putting out with the whiteboard. This is like a whiteboard series, and we're going to continuously do this. Whatever podcast that I see, really good feedback on, that I'm getting a lot of positive response, people want to know more about, I want to break it down and give you a visual element of this, because this is what's allowed me to achieve the results that I've been able to achieve as quickly as I've been able to achieve them, and it's allowed our company to be able to grow very quickly because we're approaching it in this time frame, and this allows us to move much quicker in achieving those results. So if you guys want to level up, you want to create higher level results, make sure that you follow on to my YouTube series, follow on to my podcast, follow me on Instagram. Please go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think of this YouTube series, and if you're liking these types of videos, and possibly what else you guys want to see, what else that maybe you guys have heard in previous podcasts that you want to see me put out a YouTube full-length episode on. So with that, guys, we'll see you back here for the next whiteboard series or the whiteboard episode, and we'll see you guys soon.